Hello, you over 3,000 amazing people, and the 83% who have yet to subscribe. Keep on subscribing. Today we're going to start off a new series of videos where we look at the silly bonkers units of Age of Sigmar 4th edition. This isn't a deep dive. This is singling out the craziness and having a look at some of the most mental units that 4th edition have given us. And I've got a doozy to kick it off. Yes, so I'm starting a new series, and this is where we highlight the most bonkers of units in Age of Sigmar 4th edition. And this kind of come off the back of one of my games during the GT, where I came across, that unit smashed through me. And it kind of got me thinking, is there more units like this that are just absolutely crazily good, and maybe that we could just talk about them? Find out why they're really good, and why is no one talking about these units in the first place, and, you know, let's get a conversation about it. And it could be fun, a bit of a giggle. It's nothing against the unit. We're not trying to get them nerfed or anything. We're just literally looking at some of the most mental units. And what I want you to do in the comments of this video is let me know other units that you think are absolutely crazy, and then we can highlight them, and we can make this a community thing and highlight some of the most mental units in the game. And yeah, it would be really fun sort of conversation piece. So the first one we're going to talk about is this unit here, the Vanguard Palors. Now, these things are bonkersly good, and a unit that literally flew underneath the radar, completely flew underneath the radar, and have done since, I think these come out in 1st edition. I do believe that these come out with the battle tome, the first big battle tome that Stormcast Eternals got after the Exterminatus Extremis booklet come out. And I do think that this was kind of, I'm pretty sure they come out either in a Vanguard booklet or they come out with like the main sort of battle tome. So they've been around from pretty much like the early days of Age of Sigmar, but I've never really been kind of like present. You know, not many people have talked about Palors. You know, in 3rd edition we had like the Draconoth cavalry, the ones with the hammers, or just doing absolute work. And then in 2nd edition we kind of had the same, and it was really, really kind of cool. But these things have never really been on anyone's radar or anyone's highlighted at all. That was until I come across them this weekend and actually seen exactly how good these are. So I'm going to be speaking from first-hand experience of facing these things, of what it was like. So first things first, what are they? Well, they are a cavalry unit for the Stormcast Eternals, and they are part of a Vanguard chamber. So this is going to come really, really important later on. They are 230 points for 3 models. So you're going to be running at least 2 units of 6, which is going to be coming in at least 460 points per unit. So you're going to get them for 2 units for less than 1,000 points. Steel. Right, so what do? Well, they've got a 3-up armor save. They move 14 inches. They've got a health of 5 each. That's 5 models with a health of 5, so that's a lot of wounds in that unit. And they've got control of 2. Now, these things are nuts. Now, they have Boltstorm pistols with a range of 10. They have 2 hits on 4s and wounds on 4s with a 1 wound, 1 rend, 1 damage, and they can shoot in combat. But the main thing that you're looking at is the Star Strike Javelins. They have a range of 12. They hit on 1. Sorry, they 1 attack each. 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage. Now, they can't shoot in combat, but they can shoot in combat. And then obviously they've got the close combat where they've got their beaks and the javelins as well. So they do a little bit of work. If you kind of look at them, they kind of got a shooting ability on par with what, say, a Agrodon Lancer would have. Their rider has 3 attacks and hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, -1 rend, 1 damage, and then obviously when it charges, it goes up to 2 damage. So they're kind of that way, but these guys are pumping 2 damage out pretty much all the time. But what makes these things really, really good is its rules. So they have a passive ability called the Vanguard Chamber, and this unit can use shoot and or charge abilities even if it run or retreated this turn. That is mental. And seeing it in action was just unbelievable. So they can move 14 inches and then run 6. Yes, that means you can command point run it for 6 inches, so it flat moves 20 inches down your flank, and they are pretty much hitting whatever they want. Then they can shoot you. So this unit can shoot and or charge abilities, even if it used a run or retreat ability this turn. So it's and or. Doesn't mean that you can do one or the other. You can do both. So they can run down the flank, not that they need to with a 14-inch move, and then they can literally just smash you. They shoot at you with basically 6 shots, hitting on 3s, wound on 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage apiece, and then they can charge you. But then it gets worse. So they have your charge phase, charging volley. If this unit charged this phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. This unit can immediately use a shoot ability as if it were shooting in a shooting phase, but it must target that enemy unit. This unit's Star Strike Javelins then get shoot in combat for this phase. So they can run, they can move, run, shoot, charge, shoot you again, then fight. That is a lot of attacks. Now, okay, one of the arguments would be that they only have 1 attack each. So it's only like 6 attacks coming in with the shooting phase, which they're essentially doing twice. And then they're doing the same thing in the close combat phase, in the fight ability. So it's, again, 6 attacks, but then you're going to have the mount on top of that as well. But what you have to remember is, this is a lot of attacks coming in from a unit, which is essentially, if you look at over the 3 courses of the 3 phases, they're going to be doing 6 attacks in the shooting phase, then they're going to be doing 6 attacks again in the charge phase, and then they're going to be doing another 6 attacks again in the fight phase, and they're going to be doing at least another 18 attacks from the mounts as well. So that's a lot of dice that they're throwing out, and that's a lot of -1 rend and a lot of damage. Now, on my experience at the GT, this 1 unit of 6 coming down my left flank, taking out an entire 10-man unit of Saurus Warriors and 5 Saurus Warriors from a secondary unit, then charged and then killed that second unit of Saurus Warriors. 1 unit cleared off my entire left-hand side of my board. Now, bearing in mind, all my really good stuff was either in the center or on my right flank, and it was the weakest. But he had 2 units of these coming down either flank. I did manage to catch and kill one of them with my Agrodon Lancers, and once it actually come up to an actual proper close combat unit in combat, they did fold pretty quickly. But, you know, they have 5 health, so you're having to pump out a lot. But Agrodon Lancers are just as bonkers, and don't worry, they will be in this video as well. We will be doing them in this series. But yeah, 1 unit, and then in the next turn, it basically just got round, killed my Slan, and then they then quite funnily blew up my Realm Shaper, which was quite amusing. But yeah, they did a lot of work, and they're really nuts. For 230 points, they're an absolute steal. Are they amazingly good? They're really scary if you don't know what you're doing with them. I think the fact that they've got a 3-up save, they are a Vanguard unit as well, so they can be used for the Vanguard move. So what that is, and I'll show you that now. So if you take this in a Vanguard Wing, you take the Vanguard Wing. So once per turn in your movement phase, you can pick a friendly Vanguard Chamber unit that is not in combat, and then roll a D3. You remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up anywhere else on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Now, this is in lieu of your movement, so obviously if you don't remove a 3+, the unit can't move. So if you need to get them out of dodge, or you need to get them somewhere else, not that they need it with a potential 20-inch move, you can lift them up, move them, and then put them somewhere else if you need to. You'll probably find when we cover Raptors, Long Strike Raptors, of how really, really good that rule is in regards to them. So that's the Pelennors. An absolute crazy unit, really scary to face. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had a cavalry unit that can dish out more hurt with more attacks, and obviously Agrodon Lancers gain more attacks on their mounts as the fights progress. I was able to basically beat up a unit of them, and they did have to retreat. And again, the rule of retreating and still shooting still come into it. And yeah, so it was absolutely nuts. So, and the really thing is, if you read that rule, this unit can shoot and or charge, even if it used the run or retreat ability. So that means they're pretty versatile. They can kind of work in all of the phases. So they can do a lot of stuff in the movement phase. They can cover a lot of ground, potentially 20 inches. They can charge. They can shoot and charge. And then if you do get caught in a combat, you can retreat, shoot, charge, and then shoot again. So, you know, there's a lot going on here with this unit. They're pretty versatile, and against with a really, really good player, they will really do some hurt. But I think the funny thing is that these things have just slipped under the radar for so many years that, like, no one's really bothered them. And I can imagine that this is probably because no one's buying Pelennors, and, you know, the Games Workshop, you know, need to shift some boxes before the new Stormcast turn up. But that's the cynical view of me. Really, I think it's a really cool unit. It's really nice to see old units like this that never really got much of a spotlight kind of be given like a new lease of life in the game, which is really nice to see. Now, bear in mind that these guys weren't really great back in the old days, and they had like a really weird gimmickly move where they could like teleport across the table for so many inches, which was really good, but it was really, really random, and you never really knew how far you were going to get. So it's really nice to see them given this fresh look and really like give them a new lease of life. So that's Pelennors. So that's the first unit in this first series of videos that I'm going to be doing. So if you have any ideas or any suggestions of other units that you've come across in your games of Age of Sigmar or reading over your faction focuses, let me know in the bottom, and we can maybe have a look at them. And if they are as bonkers as these, then we can have a real look at them. Obviously, I will be doing a deep dive on the Stormcast Eternals very soon. It is a huge faction pack, and I'm probably going to have to break it down into 2 videos. Otherwise, it would be absolutely huge. So that is going to be coming in the future. I'm holding off because I really don't want to do it because it's such a big faction pack to go through. Same with the Skaven. But there will be more faction focuses coming this week, and now that I'm off, I've got a week's leave, so it'll be really cool. So if you like this video and you want to help, remember, leave a comment of what units that you think. I will be covering Agrodon Lancers next, because they're nuts, and another unit from the Seraphon as well, because they did work. And this is just coming from my experiences at the GT, some of the things that I've seen and played against and used, and it was really fun. And I think it would be just a fun conversation to just talk about these units and highlight them a little bit. So again, any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. And while you're there, like the video, ring the bell, and obviously subscribe, because we're almost at my target goal for the year was 3,500, and we're not that far off that now. We're getting there. It's probably a couple more months, hopefully, or maybe a little bit more, and then we'll be getting into it. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. And obviously, you can check out my members and Patreon area. And painting tutorials that are going to be coming. One of these just arrived today for all you old world fans. Oh yes. The king is strong with this one.